Gee, I wish I had more to drink last night. Said no one ever. If you're trying to achieve your goals, then eliminating alcohol is one of the easiest wins there is. And this isn't true only for alcoholics. Sobriety has massive benefits for everyone, including you and me. I've been alcohol-free for 5 years now. And in this video, I'm going to explain why the difference between the occasional social drink and no alcohol at all is potentially much larger than you might realize. And I'm also going to give you a few tips on how to abstain completely, including one you may not have heard before. There are so many ways that drinking alcohol robs you of your agency and purpose. Alcohol has a tendency to make you think that you like activities more than you really do. Imagine the office Christmas party. If no alcohol was served, would you still go? Would you stay as long? And this leads to the next point. Drinking alcohol is very time-consuming. How many times have you found yourself at, say, a work function or a friend of a friend's party that you maybe planned to leave at 7 p.m. But the beer and the wine were flowing and 2 drinks turned into 3, into 4, and you ended up staying until 11:30. You didn't plan to spend 6 hours with these people, but alcohol has a way of making you stay longer than you might have intended. You could have been spending those 6 hours going to the gym, or going for a nice walk in the park with your family, playing board games with your children, or maybe working on that project that you've been putting aside for many years. Now I can think of 2 things that happened that led me to make this decision to eliminate alcohol entirely. One was an experience I had about 6 years ago, where I was attending one of my children's swimming lessons at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I'd been out the night before at a work function. I'd had maybe 3 drinks, not a huge amount, but enough to make me feel a little dehydrated, have a slight headache the next day. Now, I was in this indoor heated swimming pool area. It was very warm and humid. There were kids screaming and splashing, and here I was nursing a headache from the night before, and all I could think about was, like, where's my coffee? Now, that child now no longer does swimming lessons because he's too old for it. So, these times are really quite precious. Like, I certainly don't remember anything about what I did the night before. I would have remembered it at the time. I wasn't that intoxicated, but I don't remember it now. But I do remember the swimming lessons. So, which one is more important? And I think the answer is pretty obvious. You want to be present for those important things in your life, and alcohol takes you away from that. Now, the other thing that made me eliminate alcohol was at the start of the lockdowns in 2020, I took up meditation, initially as a way of dealing with anxiety, which I'll definitely make a video about this because it's extremely effective. But I found that if I'd had even a single glass of wine, I used to love Scotch whiskey. I could say I still love it, but I don't drink it anymore. But even a single glass would really affect my ability to meditate in the way that I want to meditate. I certainly wouldn't have as much focus, as much concentration. It would kind of take something away from the experience. And for me, that experience of really being present in meditation and say focused on my breath or something like that, to me that's more enjoyable than the feeling of being slightly tipsy that you get after a glass of wine. It's also a much more effective way of dealing with anxiety. So if eliminating alcohol is such a no-brainer, why is it so ubiquitous in our culture? And how do you abstain entirely? Now, I'm not going to address the first point because that would be a whole other video, but I think I can offer something a little different on the second point. Now, I get that alcohol can be extremely fun. I think it's worth recognizing that for a moment. I've talked about all the negatives, but there are positives. You can talk about things with your friends that you might normally feel uncomfortable talking about because it sort of disinhibits you and maybe allows you to have some, at least what feels like at the time, to be some kind of deeper connection with the person you're talking to. But in my opinion, Those things are quite short-lived, and certainly it's possible to cultivate them without alcohol, and that is in fact more rewarding. I also think that the effect it has on your anxiety it's certainly temporary, and I think in the long run it probably increases your anxiety, but that's another topic. So how do you abstain entirely? One approach involves setting a finite period of time. Say, you might start with a week without alcohol, then maybe 30 days. You could have a dry July, an oct sober. But what if you get invited to your best friend's wedding during that time? Could you keep it going? So how about, instead of the 30-day challenge, we do the 1-day challenge, with a catch. It has to be a day on which it would be very difficult to abstain from alcohol. Maybe going to the football with your friends, or attending the family Christmas party, or maybe your sister's wedding. If you can abstain from alcohol on that day, then it will give you so much confidence that you can do it at all other times. If you're worried what people might think at such an occasion, well, in my experience, whenever I tell people that I'm not drinking alcohol, the most common reaction is, good for you. I can't think of a single case when someone has ridiculed me or thought that my decision was antisocial or something like that. Most people have been jealous. They've said stuff like, gee, I wish I could do that too. The final strategy that I'm going to suggest is that you cultivate just a hint of self-righteousness. I'm not suggesting that we should think that we're better than people who drink alcohol, because I don't believe that at all. But, going to a party and sipping on sparkling water while everyone else is enjoying an icy cold beer, that's difficult. And it takes strength and courage. And I think if you can remind yourself of that, that can be a very empowering feeling. And that can be very helpful in sticking to this and prioritizing what's important in your life.